Hey, and welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And it's great to be back here personally too. I've missed you guys, but Brad and Jonathan and Jeanine say you guys didn't miss me at all. So I'm a bit sad now. You make me sad, guys. So this week we're going to talk about the importance of measuring cash flow in your business. Brad, there's a age-old saying out there about what cash flow is like. What is give us an analogy, Brad, for how to understand the importance of cash flow.
I think the term that you're searching for is that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. Is that?
That's a really good one. Well, that wasn't the one I was thinking about. This is great fun. So, Janine, what one do you think I'm thinking about?
Oh, Lord, you have a specific analogy in mind? Like, are you thinking of the farmer and he's like loading up his silo for making it through the drought?
I know what it is.
I like that one. I'm going to give you a hint, right? Warren
I know
Buffett.
what it is. Don't give me a hint.
Buffett
Don't give me a hint.
Go on.
Cash is king.
No.
God.
Wow, who knew there were so many analogies?
There we go. And we never talk about this a lot. Like we do in Difference Maker Revolution to our members, but like we haven't talked about it in the podcast yet. So Warren Buffett, Brad is now Googling it, famously said that cash is like oxygen. When you have it, you don't realize you have it. But when it runs out, you die. So I paraphrased just a little bit, but it's true, right? Is that I thought it was a great analogy because, like, as humans, we don't realize we have oxygen until we don't have oxygen. And the same in business. Like, if you're once you've got cash flow in your business, you get on with your business. But once the cash starts to run out, well, then that's when things can go downhill pretty quickly, and you can die just like you would as a human if you ran out of oxygen. So I thought it was if it's that important, I thought it's important that we talk about it on this podcast. So Janine, how do you manage in your business to know that you've enough cash flow, that you've enough cash coming in, that you've enough oxygen in your business to continue to serve your clients, survive, thrive, and make a difference?
So for me, I'm a hoarder of many things, props, backgrounds, things like that. But I'm also a hoarder of cash. When I first started off in the studio, I won't even say how long ago now because it makes me sound really old. I didn't leave my corporate job until I had a set amount of cash in the bank ready to run. I didn't want to start off with a loan. I didn't want to start off in debt. And so I have run my business that way from the very beginning. In the beginning, I wanted to have at least 3 months of what I was making. And I started off with what I was making at my corporate job. I wanted 3 months to pay myself because I thought in 3 months I could get my business up and running where I needed it to be. And that kind of is how it started. Now I am at a point, I like to have 6 months cash reserves. So basically, if something happened and we had no money coming in for 6 months, I could pay my rent. I could keep the doors open. I could pay my team and not have to stress about having to let people go, having to beg my landlord for forgiveness, or, going belly up. So for me, it's been, I have 6 months and I have it in a specific account. It never gets touched. And it's just there, should we need it. And so for me, that allows me to run things comfortably. And then I have another account where I do all of my marketing from, because for me, that's also not, it's interesting you said that about Warren Buffett with the oxygen and the breathing. Because as Jonathan and I have talked many times back and forth as he helps me run ads and get things going is with budgeting. And if you're afraid of running out of cash because of the budget, then you don't have the money to test and market the way you need to. So I have it two ways. I have the marketing one that I have so I can do my marketing as I need to without fear of, this week my ad cost so much and now I can't run another ad because I'm afraid, so that fear can stranglehold your marketing, but it can also stranglehold your business. So I have the two accounts. But for I know the purpose of this conversation with the cash flow. It's 6 months for me. That's what I feel comfortable because I have a team and I don't want to let my team down if something should go wrong. I don't want to have to fire people. And that's what got us through COVID. You know, I didn't have to let anybody go during COVID because we had the cash reserves in place. So yeah, that's for me what it means. I like to feel confident that we could keep running should anything go wrong, and also market.
So, Janine, I know we're all big Profit First fans here, right?
Yep.
And so for Profit First, then I think in Profit First we call it the vault, right? Is that account that you have that 6 months in? That's your vault, and you don't go like it just doesn't. You don't go near it.
I don't go near it.
Okay.
It's not, I don't take it to the level of it's in some separate bank that requires 3 people to sign for me to get into. Cause I don't have the problems that Mike Michalowicz talks about. Like if you're a spender, right? Like if you can't be trusted with yourself, that's not my problem. My problem is the opposite. I don't like to spend, right? So, I don't have that level of security on my account that I need Ronan, Brad, and Jonathan to co-sign with me to take money out. But it is an account that never gets touched within my bank. It's in a separate account.
Okay. And what happens? How do you deal with it if that bank goes bust, or is that a question for another day? Maybe that's a question for another day. Maybe that's too deep.
If that bank goes bust, well, our banks here are protected by the federal government. Like,
okay,
it doesn't go above the amount that's not protected by the FDIC.
Okay. Good job. So once America doesn't go bust, you should be okay.
I should be okay. Are you asking me if I'm like Brad and have a safe in my studio with tons of cash in it surrounded by, booby traps?
Brad does not do that. Just for clarity, for anyone who's listening to us who thinks you can rob Brad's studio, Brad does not do that. Janine is only joking. So Brad, talk to us, Brad, about the thing of where we see members, doing payment plans and all that stuff, and sort of offering payment plans without really thinking through the effect it might have on their cash. Have you how would you approach a payment plan strategy for your business if you weren't like Janine and had a hoard of cash but felt you had to offer payment plans? What would you do?
No, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Because, you've just painted a situation that I'm not in, so I have to think differently. I can tell you, first of all, that just in general about payment plans, it's like business 101, isn't it? You solve a problem, you create more problems. So you create payment plans because your clients say they can't afford the products, or for whatever reason they want to spread those payments out. You don't have a finance option, so you're going to take those payment plans on yourself over 12 months or however long you want to do it, because you want the sell, you want the cash coming in, but then you've just created a cash flow problem for yourself in the future that a lot of people don't even realize. Because if more and more people take those payment plan options, then you're not getting cash in. It creates a bit of a sticky situation for you. So we've, like, my studio was running our own payment file longer than I've been in the business. We're actually in the UK, it's the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority. We have a license with the FCA. We put through, so I believe we can go up to 2 years on our payment plans, but we've managed that for many years. My dad's managed that for many years. Coming out of COVID, I made the conscious decision to do less of them, because I didn't want, at the time I was just trying to, I strategized, I was looking into the future, and I didn't want my cash flow to be out on payment file. I wanted either clients to pay in full, or I was happier taking a hit on the cash flow and doing finance. And we've had a marked decrease in the amount of payment plans we're doing at the minute, because we're being, I suppose, conscious about it. When you're conscious about something, you don't have to do it.
So there's a whole load of things there, right? Can we just unwind some of what you've just said?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
but let's just start with, before we get into the psychology of it, and if it's there, you might use it even though you don't need to. Can we talk about what you just talked about in terms of, rather than doing payment plans, you considered finance many people would think they're the same thing. Just talk to us about how they're different for you.
Yeah, so in our business, payment plans are plans that we manage. So we, or you might use a company like GoCard that does card payments for you. But in the past, we have a card payment file that's under lock and key, and then in the past it was every day my dad would go into that file because there were no. Like, it's funny, isn't it? Because my parents are incredible and they built an amazing business, but they never put like really good processes in. I never had the forethought to go, you know what, we're just going to do the 1st and the 15th of every month. Like my dad had a payment file and he would go to it every morning and he'd have to take payments every day. To the point that when we went on holiday, he'd either have to take the card machine with him and he'd do payments while we're away because he doesn't trust anybody else to do them, or we'd just be giving people payment holidays. My dad hated the idea of giving people payment holidays. So we always found a way. Instead of just doing it on the 1st or the 15th.
I can see Stan sitting on the beach in Orlando with the umbrella over him, with a beer in one hand and the card machine and the file on his knee.
He loves it. He'll go in, like not Boxing Day, the day after Boxing Day, he'll go to the studio to do payments. Like he's so focused on it. And now that we've taken a step back from that, and that's a lot less, he's quite sad that he's not taking, and like in some cases, like that might be £20 a week, £50 a month, because we just let the clients decide whatever they wanted, which is, again, I'm not really recommending people do moving forward. If you operate in your own payment plans, definitely set some structure up. That was always something that was incredibly difficult for me to unwind because it had just been so ingrained in the business. And ultimately, nothing ever had gone wrong with it. It just took all my dad. It was just a lot of time for my dad to do, but he enjoyed doing it because he likes getting paid. But yes, so payment plans are plans that we manage. Finance is where you've got an outside finance company and that essentially your clients are taking out some type of payment loan where the finance company pays us and then they're paying the finance company. So we do interest free, but the finance company will do a percentage take. So I think we use Klarna in the UK at the minute. We've used so many different payment providers. If you're in the UK and you want to use finance, have a look at Klarna right now. We've been with loads of people and they always get rid of you. So don't be upset or take it personally when one day you finance, because they won't phone you and tell you. You just go onto the platform and you'll be blacklisted. And it's simply because you don't do enough revenue. That they want minimum, generally $500,000 in finance a year. We weren't putting anything close to that through. So they might let you in and let you have it for a few years. But if you're not doing the numbers, they'll get rid of you. So you have to be entrepreneurial with it. You have to, find something else to help solve that problem. So with Klarna, over a year, it's 9%. I'd rather take the hit on the 9% of the revenue than at the minute, I'd rather take the hit on the 9% of revenue than have cash flow problems and take that cash over a year.
Okay. But in that, Brad, I'm guessing now because I don't know the answer, right? So let me guess because I think I know you. Just because you're using a finance company, right, and let's say the amount is £2,000, right, that you're financing for a client, you don't offer up front to finance the full £2,000, right?
Oh no. So you never. We never offer finance right on the front. We always offer finance to handle an objection. Or if clients ask, we will tell them because then they might front load that objection on the phone. And then again with the finance, if it's £2,000 order, there's minimum deposits. So then, although it's a £2,000 order, we want to take a minimum 20-25% deposit. So then, it's a £1,500 finance, not a £2,000 finance. So then it's 9% of 1,500 instead of 2,000.
Right. So Jonathan, I want to talk to you about the psychology of instant gratification and how a payment plan might affect that in terms of if you're offering a payment plan and the client doesn't get what they've bought for a long period of time, what effect that might be.
Sure it does. I wouldn't want to pay for 12 months and not over 12 months and not get something instantly. Just paying full for it.
Okay. Yeah, I would have thought so too. Janine, you do offer payment plans, but you don't make your clients wait. Can you just talk to us about that?
I would say I have the unpopular opinion in the photography world. Because you're right. Most people hold on to people's artwork and portraits until they pay in full. I've never done that. I trust people, and I've always run my business on a matter of trust and how I treat clients how I would want to be treated. And we work with, primarily, as you guys know, babies and children. Well, if I made a parent wait for a year to get the portraits that we took, the baby would be at a completely different stage of life. So that just wouldn't work. And so I've always operated under, if someone goes on a payment plan, first of all, we don't do a year. We do 6 months max. But we operate under, when the portraits are ready, they come pick them up. And
But Janine, in order to do that, right, you gotta have the cash flow to finance that, because you still gotta purchase the product from the lab, right?
yes, you still have to purchase the product from the lab. So I know this is what Ronan's getting into with cash flow, but from the psychology of it, for me, to answer that question, I've always believed in my client. Just always have. And I've had this debate and argument with other photographers, and they're like, well, what if you get burned? What if they cancel their credit cards? What if you don't get paid? And for me, that's a risk I am willing to take. And again, because I do have the cash flow. If someone did burn me, okay, it's sad, it sucks. But the amount of sales, and I have gone back and I've looked at this, and I couldn't give you the exact number right now because I wasn't prepared for this podcast to do that. But I have done this in the past when I've been in the middle of these debates with other photography studios. The amount of sales that I've made versus the amount of sales I wouldn't have had, because I've told people they could go on a payment plan and don't worry about it, pay for it later. And we put them on a 6-month payment plan. I take half initially, and then we put the rest on payment plan. I would do a quarter, like Brad said too, if needed. But in general, we try for half. And then, okay, if someone really needs to jip me on their last payment, to me, to satisfy the clients, to not lose that sale, it's worth the risk. In the 15 years that we've been doing it, I think I've been burned like 4 times. One was because someone died, and and the estate wouldn't honor the rest of the payments. They were all very rare occasions on extreme circumstances. So to me, if you have your business set up in a way that can manage that cash flow and paying for those products, I would rather trust my clients and give them the instant gratification of their portraits.
So, Janine, you've hit on a key point there, because I have seen photographers, I've had meetings with photographers where they also wanted to give that instant gratification, right? But they were financing the whole order over, say, a 12-month period, and they were buying the wall displays from their lab today, while you made an important point, which is, you 50% up front. So even if the worst case happened, you're not out of pocket to the lab, right?
Correct.
For what they've got.
Correct.
So that's, I just want to make sure people hear that, because some people may not hear that. And the reason why they may not is I'm aware of some photographers who were doing that. And if that's your business model, that's okay too, provided you realize you are now a bank, and a bank needs capital reserves, and you need to have the money there to finance that. So just to, once you understand that, we're not saying you should do that. We're just saying if you do want to do that, you need to make sure you've calculated out how much capital reserves you need in your business to be able to offer that service. Yeah, and Janine, you said another thing there about, because it's interesting, like if you go and buy furniture, right, you can spread the payments over time.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in retail, and it happens, but you just have to be prepared for it. So here's an interesting question for you all. I don't mind which one of you come in on this one. So, the way photography in our industry, a lot of photographers talk about average sales value, right? So therefore they're talking about, my client spent X with me. But when does the client truly spend X with you?
Do you want to just go a little bit deeper on that?
Yeah, so often I'll hear a photographer say, oh yeah, my average sale is $2,200 or pounds or euro or jelly beans, whatever your currency is. you know, but then they say, well, I don't have any money. And you say, well, how many sales do you have? And I had 10 sales this month, and my average is 2,250 jelly beans. Like, that's not the cash they've collected in the business, right? So is there something else that I should be measuring other as a photographer if I'm doing payment plans and all that, other than just what my average sales value on that calculation based? Or is a sale a sale? When is a sale a sale?
When you get the cash. It's not a sale until you get the cash. It's a it's like an opportunity to treat, isn't it? You've entered into an agreement that's not been finalised until you get the cash, really. So once you get the cash, then it's an actual sale. If you don't get the cash, if you can do thousands on payment plans, but if they never pay you, then you've never done thousands on payment plans. So the average isn't as high as it is. It's a zero sale. It's really zero till it comes in.
One way I think about it, and I didn't have to think about it when it was just me, when I hired someone doing my sales and I had to think about when I was going to pay them commission, and so let's think of it this way. If a salesperson brings you their sale order and say, I just made a $3,000 sale, where's my commission? I'd be like, well, where's the cash? Did they pay? If they didn't pay yet, why would I pay out the commission? Right. And so if you kind of think of it in that regards, especially if, and it did happen, surprisingly enough, there was one point I remember where she took an order. She's like, oh, she's going to start paying next month on it. I'm like, well, first of all, we're not doing any work on it until that happens. And that's not a sale until she starts making, and I'm not paying you commission on something that might happen in a month. So if you think about it in that regards, when you would pay out a commission on a sale, you certainly wouldn't start paying until that sale is realized. It's not a fictional amount.
So Janine, in your system, right? Do you raise an invoice to a client?
What does that mean?
So if Jonathan comes in and he does a first birthday experience with you, hard to imagine Jonathan doing a first birthday experience. Let's say he does. He wants to relive his first birthday because he didn't have one when he was one. And he comes into you and he has an amazing experience, and Susan and I buy an album and the wall art collection of Jonathan's first birthday. That'd be a cool album, wouldn't it? I'm looking at him here. I can just see him in his diapers, and singing. Jeanine there taking photographs. Anyway,
these are visions I don't want in my head, Ronan.
so Susan and I buy the album, and we buy the wall art collection of Jonathan's first birthday, and you count up to say, and you say that's $1,600, right? I'm just picking numbers out of the top of my head, $1,600, and I go, and that's great. So you raise in your management system an invoice or an order for $1,600, right?
Correct.
So when you're looking at your actual sales for a month, are you measuring it based on the number of orders you've had, or are you measuring it on the cash you've collected, or both?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. No, we run our studio on a cash basis. So when I report, like if I were to, like when we do our monthly accountability meetings and I say what our sales, so it's the cash collected. So we run everything on a cash basis in the business.
And then you're running profit first. So that makes sense because that's based on a cash business. Right. Brad is very impressed with you, Janine, because that's what Brad said we should do a couple of minutes ago. He's very impressed. Very impressed. Because I sense that a lot of photographers might do it the other way. So they produce an order in their system, and when they're reporting their monthly sales, they're reporting on the orders they have, not the cash they've collected. So reporting all of your numbers on cash collected can sort of help you keep those oxygen tanks full, right?
Yeah, but I can tell you this, on the flip side, when I'm looking at my average order value, I do look at the total sale, not the part that because I need to know that number too, right? So I need to know if, especially when running ads and tracking things in the studio, making sure everything is where we need it to be, we have 10 birthday sessions come in. For me, I like to track those at a $1,500 average. I need to make sure that's happening, regardless of whether they're on payment plans or not. So I track what the average order is, as well as, but that's not my cash for the month. That's not my sales for the month. Does that make sense? I'm tracking the order. I track cost of goods sold on every order too. And so that just to make sure everything's trending the way it's supposed to and nothing is mucking up. But our reporting for the month is always on cash.
All right. So Brad, let's say I'm in the position where I have a big amount of money on payment plans and the oxygen in my tank, it's on red, it's on that marker, right? What can I do?
Well, I would stop making the problem bigger. So I would, potentially put a hiatus to operating payment plans for the future because you're only going to, you're not putting out a fire, you're only going to add to the fire later on. Even if that's just for a temporary period of time, I'd stop. I would then try and get some form of finance that I could offer my clients, and then I would phone everybody in that file, especially if it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because if you've done a Janine and you've really cared for your clients and you've already given them their order, now suddenly you don't have any leverage for the client to be able to pay because they've already got the product. Why would they want to sign up with a finance company just to help you get some cash? So suddenly you've just lost a tremendous amount of leverage. So in that case, that won't work for you. But if the clients don't have the order and they're waiting until they pay that payment plan, then you have leverage to have a phone call conversation, offer them the finance, hopefully they accept, and then you can use their, depending on the finance company, some of them will accept the deposits, some of them might need you to make new deposits on top. But anyway, you can get some cash back. You'll be able to claw some cash back. And you just got to figure out, based on how much they have left to pay and what the finance terms are, whether or not that's going to make financial sense for you. So you actually make profit on doing that. But they're probably the first two things I would do to try and get some of that cash back.
All right. And Brad, you mentioned earlier in this conversation about the fact that sometimes as humans, we just get into a habit of doing something, right? So if we get into a habit of just always offering a payment plan or even finance, we just go there as the first step. But you mentioned that you guys took a strategic decision not to do that. Like,
Yep.
How did fear come into that anywhere? Like, did fear of, well, what's going to happen now? Will my clients not spend because I'm taking this away? Like, how did you make that switch and be positive about it? Because as we know, our clients borrow their confidence from us. So if we're sort of, well, we don't really have payment plans anymore and we're really quiet about it and we're not, and we make it about the negative rather than, so that's now $2,000. How do you want to pay? They're completely different approaches. So how did you deal with that?
Well, it was a strategic decision. Jesus, sometimes my brain's faster than my fucking lips move. But I nearly swore then. But yeah, so we made the strategic decision, Jesus, to do that because the problem, the fire that I foresaw was greater than maybe some of our clients not spending. And I was much happier if the situation was the clients didn't spend 2,000, they only spent a few hundred. I was happier with that outcome than I was with the outcome that I foresaw that I was trying to not partaking, that I didn't want to happen. So in that sense, it was quite easy to communicate that with everybody in the studio and tell them the reasons why we want to do this and why it's going to benefit the business. And then everybody was on board with it anyway. And then just by not offering it, once you not do it the first time and you get a positive result from it and you get confidence from it, it just grows from there. And I think you can kind of always get stuck in your head thinking that every client's going to need a payment plan. when you just offer them to pay it and they pay it and it's great. So, there's a little bit involved in that in client avatars, in making sure you're actually servicing clients who have the disposable income to spend. So you need to make sure that you're going after clients that want to have this experience, you can help transform their lives and can actually pay for it and pay for the end products as well. So you need to be conscious of that. But I suppose there was fear, but I never really saw any of that fear because I wasn't in the sales room. So it's much easier, isn't it, being top down and pulling strings and saying you can't do that anymore. It's bad.
But the key is, regardless of that, the end result was positive for you. So
massively positive.
Yeah.
So it was a good decision.
So Jonathan, bring us home, because we've gone over time in this podcast. You'd know Ronan's back. We're gone over time. Tell us how.
No. Hang tight there. We're not gonna not tell anybody anything. Here's what we're gonna do, because Wednesday night we set a challenge for Inner Circle members that we are going to help them stay accountable to, and that's having 3 months cash reserves for their business by the end of this year. So the best way for you to get there too and have 3 months cash reserves for your business by the end of 2024 is to apply to join the Inner Circle. So all you have to do is go to www.thedifferencemakerrevolution.com/inner circle and apply today. And then you will be on the path to having 3 months cash reserve, or if you're Janine, 6 months for your entire business by the end of this year. Get into the Inner Circle. That's where it's at.
And on that note, it's bye for me.
Bye for me.
See you later, everybody. You'd be great at selling like vacuum cleaners or hoovers on like QVC, wouldn't you, Jonathan? You'd sell loads.
But wait, there's more.
What do you mean by that? Wait, I'm not a salesperson. Buy one, get one free. You calling me a used car salesman?
On that note, bye from us. See you soon.
Bye.